Oh, hi there. Donald of the Talk No Podcast here with our first videocast. Well, actually, technically, this is our second videocast. Our first videocast was a highlights video of an anime LA that I put together like over 9,000 years ago. Alright, let's call this our first real videocast. I've actually been wanting to do this for quite a while now. This is not a response to the video that the DJ City and Gladiator of TJX recently put up. Well, okay, I'm lying. It actually is a response to the video that they just put up, but I really have been wanting to do this for a while now. Anyways, what I'll be doing in these videocasts is, well, obviously, I'll be bringing you video from anime conventions, highlights videos, interviews maybe in the future, but we'll also be exploring other aspects of Japanese life and culture, because, well, if you read the About This Podcast page on our website, you'll see that I say we'll occasionally delve into other aspects of Japanese culture. See, I gave myself a nice little out there. For today's video, we'll be looking at food, because, well, we all have to eat, and I'm sure a lot of anime has food in it, or is about food, or cooking. Now, back a couple months ago in my Anime on the Cheap Part 1, I mentioned that one great thing to do at anime watching parties is to get together and stuff Inari pouches. You may have wondered, well, what is that? How do I do that? Well, I'm going to show that to you today. So, without further ado, let's get on to the videocast. Welcome to the Otaku no Podcast Test Kitchen. Today, we're going to be making Inari Sushi. Now, you might be saying, wait a minute, sushi, raw fish, I don't know. Actually, that's a misnomer. Sushi does not refer to the raw fish. When you say sushi, you're actually talking about the rice. So, there can be sushi with raw fish on it, and that's the most common variety. There can also be sushi with cooked fish on it. For example, unagi is basically eel that's been boiled and served with a sweet sauce. Tamago is basically an egg omelet with various other things in it and kind of folded and stuck on top of sushi rice. And what we're making tonight, Inari, is sushi rice stuffed inside of a soybean curd pocket that's been fried and in a sweet sauce. It's really good, really tasty, pretty cheap, easy to make. I spoke about this a couple months ago when I did the Anime on the Cheap segment, and I said it's a great way to have food while you're watching anime with your friends. Basically set out a huge bowl of sushi rice, a big bowl of Inari pouches, and just sit there and stuff Inari and watch anime while you're doing so. Anyways, like I said, it's pretty easy to make and doesn't require that much in terms of ingredients. So, speaking of ingredients, let's see what we need. First of all, obviously, you'll need rice, but not just any rice. You need Japanese short grain sushi rice. It has to be short grain because sushi rice has to be sticky to be able to stick together. Long grain rice will not work. You might be able to get by with medium grain rice, but really it's best to go with the short grain rice. This is Rice Select. I picked it up on Amazon. I got 4 of these tubs for about 20 bucks or so plus shipping. Pretty good. This stuff lasts forever. 1 cup of rice makes roughly 3 cups of cooked rice, which is enough to feed, well, a lot of people. Again, you could find this online. You could also find it at your, almost any Japanese or Asian market, even some larger supermarkets that have international food sections in them. Look for the package. If it says short grain or sushi rice, you're in pretty good business. And worst comes to worst, ask the person behind the counter. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. You'll also need seasoned rice vinegar. Now note, it has to be seasoned rice vinegar. Sushi vinegar is actually rice vinegar with some sugar and some salt mixed in. Now you could mix it yourself, but you could also just buy the pre-mixed stuff, which is a lot easier. You'll also need Inari pouches. And this is what makes Inari Sushi. These are fried, like I said, these are fried little soybean curd pockets, fried in a sweet sauce. Again, pretty much able to find these at any Asian market, or again, even some larger supermarkets that have Asian food sections. Ask the person behind the counter. If it says Inari, and if it looks roughly like this, kind of like brown, rectangular little pouches, you're in good business. This is a Japanese medium grain rice. Again, like I said, if you can get the short grain sushi rice, that's better. But if you can't, medium grain rice will sort of work. The consistency's not quite right, but it's better than nothing. And lastly, you may or may not need wasabi, which is Japanese pickled horseradish. It comes in two forms. There's a tube form, which is basically a paste that's already made. You just squeeze it on like toothpaste. Or you can get the powdered form, which you have to mix with water in the proper proportions. Just get the tube stuff. But you may not want wasabi at all. I mean, I've never heard of anyone using wasabi on Inari Sushi before. But hey, if you like wasabi, or if you want to be weird, knock yourself out. So that's it for ingredients. We'll also need a couple of pieces of equipment to do the job. You're going to want a rice cooker, first of all. You can technically cook rice in a pot on the stove, but it's really touchy and really not the easiest thing in the world to do. Commercial rice cookers are pretty cheap. You can get them for as low as, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks. And you can get them as high as, 150, 200 bucks. If you can swing it. One of these newfangled Fuzzy Logic rice cookers are really the best way to go. You can get them, I think I paid 100 bucks for this one. It's a Zojirushi, pretty good Japanese brand. They make the best rice, I think, and it's really just dog simple. Pour in rice, pour in water, press the button, and wait for 20 minutes or whatever, and boom, you're done. Really, I recommend the rice cooker approach. It's really the best way to go. You'll also need a mixing bowl. Just any mixing bowl will do. And a wire mesh strainer. Again, pretty common. You can get these like for $1 or something at a dollar store or that sort of thing. You will also need a wooden rice paddle. Again, look at your Asian market, Japanese market. You'll probably find it there. And a fan, or you can get by with like a paper plate. You can just use a paper plate as a makeshift fan if you want. That works too. You'll also need one of these. This is a traditional wooden Japanese rice tub, also known as an oke. You really need this because when the rice comes out of the rice cooker, you need to be able to dry it and cool it really fast. And these wooden rice bowls really help wick away the moisture from your rice. That's really key. If you don't have, you can get these at any, again, Japanese Asian market. Probably you're looking at about maybe 20 bucks or so, and they come in all sorts of sizes. This is the sort of the economy size version, which is enough for maybe a couple of people's worth of rice. Then this is the larger version, which is enough for maybe a fairly large group of people. And they even have even bigger ones, which you probably don't need unless you're like planning on feeding the Japanese Imperial Navy or something. If you don't have one of these, again, you can probably get these online too, but if you don't have one of them, you can use a wooden bowl, preferably non-varnished, which will sort of work as well. But really, go for the oke. It's really recommended. Anyways, let's get cooking. So the first thing you gotta do is wash your rice. When it comes from the factory, the rice is coated with some sort of powder, sometimes talc, sometimes some other cornstarch. Basically, it's done this they do this for protection, and it doesn't taste very good, so you have to wash it away. So take your bowl and measure out some rice. And I'll try to do this without spilling all over the place. How much rice? Well, if it's just you, maybe you and one other person, about 1 cup is more than enough. If you got a couple friends over, well, you know, 2, 3 cups. Anyways, once you've measured your rice out, pour it in a bowl and fill it with water. Just enough to cover the rice. Now, the goal here is basically to agitate the rice, to kind of get it to rub the kernels against each other, to get all that substance off. But we don't want to do it too much, or else we'll risk basically crushing the rice into pulp, which is not good sushi rice. So here's how you do it. Kind of do a sweeping motion and then press. Kind of a sweeping motion and then press down. Sweeping motion, press. Basically we are rubbing the rice kernels up against each other and getting all that starch or whatever off of them. Keep going. Do this for about 30 times, no more, or else you'll risk pounding it into pulp, which is not good eats. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Okay, once you're done with that, you're going to want to drain your rice. And fill the bowl again with water. This time, however, we're not going to do the whole pressing the kernels thing. Just going to sort of gently agitate the rice kernels, again getting the rest of that starch off. Just gently agitate it. Just do this for about a minute maybe. Very gentle. And finally, when you're done, drain the rice into your colander or your mesh. Into your mesh basket here. Now, you're going to want to let the rice drain. It should drain for at least 1 hour, preferably, if you can, a couple hours or even overnight. But if you do it for anything more than, say, maybe 2 hours or so, you want to stick it in the fridge, or else, well, it'll spoil. So anyways, let this drain for about an hour. Okay, 1 hour of time has magically passed thanks to the magic of podcasting, and our rice is dry. By the way, if you're drying your rice especially if you're drying your rice overnight, you should definitely agitate the rice every so often. You know, just kind of go like this, bring the stuff that's on the bottom up to the top. Otherwise, you'll get little moist spots in the middle of your mound of rice, and then it'll spoil and be nasty and ugh. Anyways, so now it's time to load the rice cooker. I actually made a second cup of rice, so I'm now making 2 cups of rice. So I'll put that straight in the bowl of the rice cooker. And now the ratio of rice to water is 1:1. So you use 1 cup of rice, making 1 cup of rice, you put in 1 cup of water. You can use whatever kind of water you want.